Okay guys, welcome to another video. You've seen the title. Yes, gaming moments that blew my mind. Now I've got to say a quick thank you to Sir Lancelot for suggesting this video. Now I've actually already done a video very similar to this. I did it quite a few years ago. Now I don't know if any of these games I'm going to show you appeared in the first one, but you know what, it doesn't matter because there are so many. So yeah, what is this video about? It's basically games that I saw for the very first time, and when I saw them I was just like, oh my god. Wow. And you know, it's games like these that you're going to see that basically made me still keep playing video games some 40 years later. So yeah, anyway, I hope you enjoy it. Let me know what you think of my choices. Let me know what you think of these, and also I'd be interested to know what were your sort of gaming moments that blew your mind as well. So anyway, let's kick things off. Right, and the first one is Pilot Wings on the SNES. Yeah, where did I start with this one? I first came across this game, it was watching Games Master. That was a TV programme presented by Dominic Diamond back in the 90s. I never owned a SNES until, I don't know, quite a long time after this game came out. But yes, this was one of the really popular challenges. Now, seeing this in action, it blew my mind. I had never seen a game that could do kind of scaling like this did. You know, this was, I mean, what did I have at this point? I think I had my Commodore Amiga. Now, my Amiga simply was not capable of doing stuff like this. And seeing this game in action just looked incredible. It really looked, to me, it was like lifelike. And I remember watching the challenges week in, week out, thinking I would absolutely love a SNES. But at that point, I think it was probably only available in import. It was, I don't know how much it was, but I simply couldn't afford it. But you know what, this was the future. Seeing this game playing, I don't know, even now looking at it, I still think it's a really impressive looking game. Yeah, it's just flat, you know, there is no kind of texture going on there. But for a game like this, it was absolutely unsurpassed. Obviously they used that kind of technology, it was Mode 7 they called it. They used that for things like, you know, Mario Kart, F-Zero, but I've never seen a game use this technology as well as Pilot Wings. I did buy it on the N64, was it the GameCube, I can't remember exactly, but I always think that the SNES version of Pilot Wings is the most impressive. I mean, look at it, it's just, you know, this came out, I don't know when it came out, in 1993. Just amazing. And it was that one particular vein that I always thought looked the best. But yep, that did eventually lead me to buy my SNES. That's Pilot Wings. Right, the second one, now these are in no particular order at all. This is the very earliest one that I've included, Galaxian Arcade. If you're a regular to my channel, you'll know how much love I've got for this game. I still play it a lot, I'm still completely pants at it. But you know what, I remember seeing this game, I'm trying to think when I first saw it. I think it would be 1982, and we were going to America. I was going to America to stay with my auntie with my mum and dad, and we were in the Heathrow lounge, and I was going up the escalator to basically wait. I think we were going to the departure lounge, whatever it was. And back in 1982, arcade machines, you got them everywhere. You got them in chip shops, you got them in sports centres, you got them in, you know, aeroplane terminals. And yeah, I remember seeing this from a distance, and the noise and the sound, the glowing graphics absolutely just caught my imagination. And I think I may have persuaded my mum and dad to give me like 10 pence, and I probably lasted about 12 seconds because this is a ridiculously difficult game. but like I said, I still play it now, and you know, I still think it looks awesome. For a game that is as early as this came out, Galaxian to me was the first wow. Just absolutely blew my mind. Next one, yep, Commodore 64 Drop Zone. I remember, I'm trying to think exactly where I was. I was at home, and my mate Shug and his mate came up. They came up one night to see me, and yeah, they brought along this game. Now, I was one of the guys that I used to buy all the games, and my mate Shug was a pirate. He would crack them. He was a very clever guy. But this one day he appeared with this, and we loaded it up, and I remember him telling me, you know, you're going to be impressed with this, and oh my, was I impressed. I mean, look at that, look at the graphics, the sound. To me, this is the one game, probably Uridium as well, I would say. This is one of the few games that I think you could have ported it to the arcade. I mean, not even port. You could have released this in the arcade, put it in an arcade cabinet, put a joystick and fire button on it, and you've got an arcade game. This was the C64's very own arcade game. It also came out in Atari. The Atari one, I would say, is slightly better. It's probably got a slightly higher frame rate. Archer McLean, who programmed it, he always said that the Atari one was his favourite version. Apparently it runs a bit quicker. But you know what, this is an absolute sublime slice of C64 gaming. It never came out in the Spectrum, probably because they knew the Spectrum simply didn't have the hardware to actually pull it off. But yeah, what an impressive game, Drop Zone. I'm not going to say was, is, it's still a great game, and I still do play it to this day. Wow, where did I start with this one? 1988, and I was in my mate Ian's house. We were in the pub earlier on, in the pub, Paraffin Lamp, Livingston, getting drunk, and I was going back to his place. I was going to crash out in his settee, and he told me that he had a surprise for me, and I had no idea what it was. When we eventually left the pub, got a taxi to his bit, and went in his bedroom, or he told, in fact I remember it, I can specifically remember him telling me to wait outside in the hall while he did what he had to do, and then he called me in, and this was what made my eyes Arkanoid on the Atari ST. Now bear in mind, I still had a Commodore 64, and whilst I loved the C64, it simply was not capable of making a game that played, or I would say played, that's wrong to say, that looked as nice as this. This was just, if the C64 graphics were 9 out of 10, this was a 15 out of 10. Just mind blowing, looks amazing. I actually preferred the version on the Amiga, which I got a few years later, but this conversion by, I think it was Peter Johnson, well there you go, Peter Johnson at the top here, absolutely sublime. I mean, there's really no difference between this and the arcade one. I have to say, when I was playing it for this video, the mouse movement isn't the greatest, hence the reason I keep missing. If you play it in a real Atari ST, you don't have any such problems. But yeah, this just opened my eyes as to what the 16-bit generation was capable of. Blew my mind. Sticking with 16-bit, before I even got an Atari ST, I remember looking at a magazine and there was a photograph of this game, Marble Madness, and I think it must have been in the Commodore Amiga 1000, 4000, 1000, I don't know exactly. But I remember seeing a screenshot. Now this was back in 1986. 1986, you know what I mean? It was. I saw the screenshot and I could not believe that that was a home computer. It was running on a piece of hardware that technically you could buy. Thing is, back in 1986, an Amiga 1000 probably cost, I don't know, £2,000-3,000. I have no idea. All I know is it was completely out the reach of 99% of people. But seeing this, and I always remember Jeff Minter, reading an article with Jeff Minter, he was going on about this game. I think he had actually bought an Amiga 1000, and he was going on about just what an absolute perfect arcade conversion it was. Instead of having to put up with poor imitations of arcade games, this was the arcade. And even now, if you compare this to the arcade one, it's just amazing, absolutely amazing. Now I'm using a joystick controller for this particular demo, and I'm not making a very good job of it. But yeah, just the colours, the sound, it was an arcade. It was absolutely arcade perfect. And the fact that it was running on a system, I says, that you could technically buy and play in your bedroom or your living room, it just blew my mind. I couldn't really fathom that you could have something that looks this good. I did eventually own the game, I don't know, probably 3 years later, and even now I think it's still probably the Amiga's best arcade conversion. It is that good. Everything about it. Go and play it. Yeah, you might be surprised to see this included, Virtua Fighter in the arcade. Why have I included this? I'm not a fan of the game, I don't like beat 'em ups. The reason I've included this was because this came out back in the day when going to the cinema was a big thing. It was the UCI cinema in Edinburgh, New Craig Hall in Edinburgh. I don't know what film I was going with my girlfriend to see, but I remember seeing this in the sort of foyer, and I was just like, wow, I'd never seen anything like it in all my life. I mean, looking at it now, it looks fairly tame. Obviously when Virtua Fighter 2 came out, it upped the ante tenfold. But seeing this for the very first time, it was just taking what I thought was possible with computer games and taking it to the next level. Stunning. Doom, whoa. My mate Grant phoned me one night. He says, you have to come up and see what I've bought. Now at that point I had an Amiga A1200. Went up to Grant's house, and I remember going upstairs and I could just hear this, noise, cacophony of noise and things screaming, gunshots, sawing off shotguns. I didn't know what I was getting into. Walked into his bedroom, and there on this, what at the time was a massive CRT screen, was Doom. I'd never seen anything like it in all my life. Yeah, I'd seen Wolfenstein 3D, which, whilst was impressive, it never really did much for me. But seeing Doom run for the very first time was just a game changer. Here was a game that you didn't just play the game, you lived in it. I mean, it was like virtual reality. You were inside the game. It was genuinely terrifying playing this game. Some of the levels where it's in the dark, you've got, various demons and the baddies, and yeah, looking at it now, they're very pixelated, but think back to whatever it was, 1993, 1994, this was just incredible. And this was the game that made me put my A1200 up for sale and buy a PC. What did I get? I got a Pentium 60, and the very first game that I bought was Doom. I completed it, I bought and completed Doom 2. All these games, it just, it was an absolute game changer. I don't have a lot of nostalgia for PCs, but this game is one that will always sit in my heart. Awesome game. Yeah, Tutankhamun on the Commodore Amiga. This is not a game, this is just a photograph or a bitmap, a JPEG, whatever you want to call it. This was the screen that was used in 1,000 magazines back in the day, and even now it still looks damned impressive. But try and put yourself into what it felt like back in, I don't know, 1985, 1986, when you're playing your 8-bit machines, and then you see this in a magazine, and this is on a home computer. This was mind-blowing. The colours, it looked like a photograph. And, you know, seeing something like this, that and like the Bong demo, and then there was also the Juggler demo, seeing these, just, you would absolutely, it made me crave to get a Commodore Amiga. And I did, like I says, I probably got one maybe 3-4 years later, you know, after I first saw this. But that screen was a game changer. Beautiful. Ridge Racer on the PlayStation. Now, I should have probably included the start. When I got my PlayStation 1994, I got it the year it came out in the UK. When I loaded this game up, firstly, there was a little intro to Galaxian. You got to play Galaxian for about 10 seconds. And given that Galaxian was one of my favourite games, seeing Galaxian on my TV in the living room was just like, wow. And then I started this. I mean, look at it. It's arcade perfect. It's Ridge Racer. I mean, we're going from, you know, I don't know, Lotus Turbo Challenge on the Amiga, which is an awesome game. But then we've gone from, you know, to something that looks like this, and you're playing it on a big TV. This was a game changer. Yeah, looking at it now, it's not arcade perfect. But even now, I still think it's one of the best ever racing games. Awesome stuff. Now this last one, I didn't pick this for the game, I've picked it for the music. When I first bought Monty in the Run, I only bought it because Zap went on and on about how good the music was. When I loaded it up, my ears just exploded. This to me is the finest, not just SID tune, it is the finest piece of music on any home computer. Now I know PCs and all that kind of stuff can do real music, but even now, I think what Rob Hubbard created with Monty on the Run is just absolutely sublime. It still blows my socks off listening to it now. So that's why I wanted to talk about it before I let you actually listen to it in full, because I don't want to spoil it. So yeah, sit back for about 5-6 minutes and enjoy not just the finest SID tune ever written, but one of the best the best computer tunes ever written. It's an absolute masterpiece. Enjoy. And by the way guys, thank you very much for watching.